Welcome to NACTV Reads the News. My name is Gwen Jacobsen, and I'm one of many volunteers that help create programming for our station. NACTV can be seen on MTS Channel 30 or 1030, Westman Cable Channel 117, Bell Satellite Channel 592, or online at nactv.tv. These programs are made possible by our volunteers, staff, advertisers, as well as donations made by you, the viewers. If you are enjoying your NACTV experience, please consider supporting us by either donation or volunteering. You can contact our office at 204-476-2639 or at nactv@wcgwave.ca. This week's edition of the Neepawa Banner and Press is dated Friday, October 15th, 2021. And we have a beautiful picture on the front page of our local Arts Forward building. Neepawa's Arts Forward was home to a heart garden from September 30th, the newly pronounced Truth and Reconciliation Day, for about a week and a half. The over 600 hearts were made by students at Neepawa schools to represent Indigenous children and families that were affected by the residential schools throughout Canada. The community was welcome to craft their own heart and planted among those featured at Arts Forward. Here they all are on the lawn, the front lawn of the building, and here's a couple that are up close. One says "Never Forgotten." One says peace, one says love, and one says every child matters. It doesn't matter how they look or what skin they have. You should respect everyone. Very nice. All right, so now moving on, we've got a picture of a model of a new fire truck that Neepawa is going to purchase by Kira Patterson. A brand new fire truck will soon be joining the Neepawa Fire Department's fleet. The town of Neepawa passed the motion at last week's council meeting to purchase the new truck to replace an old unit that broke down. Neepawa CAO Colleen Sensation explained that the old truck would cost about $40,000 to repair, so they decided it was time for a new one. Looking at the age of the unit and what it would cost to get it back in service, it was probably a better decision to look at the purchase of a new fire truck, she said. Fire Chief Yves Gillis stated that the truck is 31 years old now, so this isn't the first time it's broken down. He added that the old truck has been very reliable for them, but because it's so expensive to repair this time, it made sense to upgrade now. The new truck the town is purchasing will cost, get this, $496,540 plus tax, and it will be manufactured by Manitoba-based company Acres Industries, Inc. Gillis noted that the new truck is an Acres Range Urban Interface Freightliner truck, and it will have all the same features their old one did, but more. We haven't lost anything in the new truck, and actually, we've gained with it. He explained that the new truck will have a larger water capacity and it's four-wheel drive, which will make it easier to drive through fields when the need arises. The urban interface also has a monitor that allows for access to more controls from inside the cab, as well as spray nozzles on the front of the truck, which will make burn control easier. The old fire truck that is being replaced was the one they used for country calls, so Gillis said that the new one will primarily be used to attend calls out to the country as well. He added that it can be used in town too, when needed. The new truck is estimated to arrive in May of next year. Acres is currently waiting to get chassis in stock, which is estimated to be in November, and they will have to be able to finish the order within 6 months after that. Gillis noted that This is a lot faster than most fire truck orders, as he stated it's quite common to have to wait a full year for a new truck to be manufactured. Now, in the travel and entertainment section, it says Neepawa Chamber hosts season's first After 5 event. We have a picture here of Stuart Olmsted, who was the guest speaker at the Neepawa Chamber's After 5 event on October 7th, speaking about the elevated importance of having an employee health plan for small businesses. The article is by Ken Waddell. The Neepawa Chamber of Commerce kicked off their 2021 series of Business After 5 events on Thursday, October 7th, hosted at the Chamber office in the beautiful Plains County Court building. The featured speaker was Stuart Olmsted of the Chamber of Commerce Insurance Plan. A dozen Chamber members in attendance received an update on the benefits of having an employee health care plan in their business. The Chamber plan will cover any number of employees and can apply to a business owned by a lone proprietor. Olmsted's message was received with enthusiasm. He noted that it's always been a good idea to have an employee benefits plan, but so much more so in today's business climate. Employees have come to expect and seek out health benefits from an employer, and to recruit staff, a health plan is almost a prerequisite. Chamber members also enjoyed some refreshments and a tour of the historic County Court building, which was saved from the Wreckers Ball and restored in 1983 to celebrate the building's 100th anniversary and the founding of Neepawa. Out of Helen's Kitchen by Helen Drysdale. Excuse me. This week is featured oven meals. She said, as the cold weather approaches, I return to using my oven for cooking my complete meal. I let my oven do double duty, cooking my meal and warming up my house at the same time. The added bonus is while my meal is cooking, I can clean up any of the preparation dishes. When I say complete meal, I am not talking of convenience foods, which tend to be high in additives, salt, fat, and sugar. By preparing and cooking yourself, you know that you and your family are eating wholesome meals. Start cooking with the dish that takes the longest, and later add the dish or dishes that take less time. For dishes that call for different temperatures, I meet in the middle. For example, if one calls for 375 and another calls for 325, then I just cook at 350. Most meats, veggies, casseroles, and baked potatoes are flexible when it comes to temperature. Many baked desserts are not as flexible. Over the years, I have found that the desserts that work well with multiple dishes in the oven are things like fruit crisps, baked apples, baked bananas, saucy puddings, such as float pudding or hot fudge pudding, bread pudding, or pumpkin pudding. Do allow space between the dishes and the oven walls for the air to circulate. To cook multiple dishes, the time may take up to 15 minutes extra, so get adventurous and try your next meal all in the oven. And she has 3 recipes this week: baked pork chops, roasted vegetables, and baked ginger cookie apples. Now for the Spruce Plains Rcmp report by Corporal Jacob Stanton. During the week of October 4th to 10th, Spruce Plains Rcmp dealt with 43 police activities. On October the 4th, Rcmp responded to multiple alarm calls in Neepawa and Gladstone. All were false. Police received a complaint about a business not following current COVID rules and regulations in Neepawa. Police attended the business and found everything to be compliant. Police received a report of fraud in Minnedosa, and there was insufficient evidence to proceed further. On October 5th, Rcmp received a report of people laying on the shoulder of the highway in the RM of Rosedale. Police were concerned they may have been dealing with a serial highway layer. After an in-depth investigation, it was determined that the cases were unrelated. Police responded to a 911 hang-up in Gladstone. Police attended and discovered an intoxicated person who was having a verbal argument with another resident of the household. The intoxicated person was brought to a family member's residence for the night. October 6th, Rcmp responded to a report of a missing person in Neepawa. After an extensive search, the person was located unharmed and safe. Police attended a motor vehicle collision in Neepawa. There were no injuries and the vehicle was towed. Police received a report of a suspicious person in Minnedosa, and the matter is still under investigation. October 7th, Rcmp responded to a report of ongoing harassment in Gladstone. After investigation, it was determined that the allegation was unfounded. Police received a theft of gas report from a business in Rapid City. The matter is still under investigation. Police received a call about continued vandalism to a business in Neepawa. There was insufficient evidence to proceed, but police will be increasing patrols in the area to be on the lookout. On October 8th, Rcmp received a complaint of a suspicious vehicle in Minnedosa. After investigation, multiple vehicles that matched the description were located, and it was determined that the vehicles were doing repair work in town. Nothing suspicious was noted. Police received a complaint of someone setting off fireworks within the town limits of Minnedosa. Police made patrols, but no fireworks were heard or seen. The complainant could not identify where the fireworks were coming from. On October 9th, Rcmp responded to a noise complaint in Plumas. Police attended and located a group of people having a bonfire and playing music. The group was cooperative and agreed to turn the music down. October 10th, Rcmp received a report of damage to a vehicle in Neepawa. The matter is under investigation. Police conducted various traffic enforcement and engaged with several motorists. Rcmp conducted 7 traffic enforcement actions during this reporting period. If you have any information about these crimes or any other crimes, please contact your local Rcmp office or Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477. Due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, the Neepawa and Minnedosa Rcmp detachments advise that they will be limiting front counter services at the detachments until further notice. We request that you contact each detachment, Neepawa 204-476-7340 or Minnedosa 204-867-2916 to inquire about criminal record checks or to file a report. Leave a message if needed, and it will be checked the following business day. Do not leave a message if you require immediate police assistance. In this case, you must dial 204-476-7338 in Neepawa or in Minnedosa 204-867-2751 or 911 to have a police officer respond to you promptly. Now, our Rural Outlook section. The first one is submitted from Farm Credit Canada, entitled Drive Away Hunger Aims to Give 20 Million Meals. Farm Credit Canada, or FCC, is evolving Drive Away Hunger to provide even more food for Canadians in need by engaging the larger agriculture and food community in raising food and cash donations. Food banks have told us how Drive Away Hunger has transformed their ability to feed hungry families, and we think we can do even more to help, said FCC President and CEO Michael Hoffert in announcing plans for the 18th edition of Drive Away Hunger. He said FCC has the national reach to bring Canada's agriculture and food industry together like never before for a cause that is close to all of us. The COVID-19 pandemic has taught us there's a very fine line between those who have the means to pay for food and those who don't, since personal situations can rapidly change. Whether our partners are growing, producing, processing, or distributing food, we see an opportunity for them to help us replenish the shelves and food banks in both rural and urban communities. This year, Drive Away Hunger hopes to collect food and cash donations equivalent to the cost of providing 20 million meals to hungry Canadians. Since 2004, FCC employees, customers, and community partners have provided over 85 million meals to food banks in Canada. Along with raising money and food for Canadian food banks, FCC is once again contributing a total of $200,000 in support of food programs offered at 200 schools selected by FCC offices across Canada based on need. Half of that contribution will be directed towards schools that serve Indigenous children as part of the Federal Crown Corporation's reconciliation efforts. Each school is receiving $1,000 in support of their feeding program. FCC is committed to supporting the elimination of hunger. Thanks to a $150,000 donation from FCC, Moisson Montreal is now using a new fruit and vegetable bagging line that allows Canada's largest food bank to accept unprecedented volumes of surplus fruits and vegetables from producers for distribution to people and families in need. This was also made possible through the partnership of Bondoil, a leader in providing naturally preserved, ready-to-use vegetables, and Drive Away Hunger partner. Food Banks Canada is focused on providing healthy choices for those who live with food insecurity and appreciates the efforts of Canada's food partners in supporting Drive Away Hunger. We look forward to expanding our reach and accessibility while raising our advocacy efforts nationwide to address the underlying causes of food insecurity, said Chris Hatch, CEO of Food Banks Canada. As always, he said, we remain deeply committed to relieving hunger today and preventing hunger tomorrow. Cash and food donations can be made online at driveawayhunger.ca. On Canada's Agriculture Day, February 22nd, 2022, the total raised from the Drive Away Hunger campaign will be announced. No one should go hungry, and thanks to the support of both generous Canadians with individual donations, as well as Canada's strong agriculture and food value chain, Drive Away Hunger helps to keep food on the shelves at food banks, Hoffert said. And speaking of food, we have a picture here of a pretty big potato. The title is, "You're gonna need a lot of sour cream and chives for this spud." And you can see how big it is in comparison to a toonie. So it says, it's that time of year again, time for the region's local gardeners to showcase their results. Olga Duncan of Glenella had an impressive potato crop this year, including this massive spud pictured next to a toonie for comparison, which weighed in at an impressive 673 grams, or nearly 1.5 pounds. Duncan also had a double potato that was 681 grams, or 1.501 pounds. If you have any notable vegetables coming out of the garden this season, send them to us with a picture at news@neepawabanner.com or bring it into the office at 423 Mountain Avenue in Neepawa. That would feed a lot of people. Late season paving in Neepawa making progress, by Owen Devereaux. Several improvements to streets and curbs across Neepawa are expected to be completed before the first snowfall of the season. This week, Maple Leaf Construction Limited returned to town to finalize several paving projects it has been hired to do. The most notable of those projects is the installation of streets and curbs at the new housing development on the CN property. Manager of Operations Denny Segway said that a portion of that work has already been completed as the curb has been poured and settled. The next step will be the streets themselves, which are being worked on this week. Another notable road upgrade Maple Leaf will be looking after is the repaving of Commerce Street to Highway 5. Segway said barring any unforeseen circumstances, that too will be looked after in the coming weeks. One street that is not to be part of the fall paving program is the 200 block of Davidson Street. A section of Davidson was closed in September to install expanded water and sewer lines to handle the increased capacity required for the area. Segway did indicate, however, that the street will be leveled off and fully accessible to vehicles once again before the end of October. A small portion of road at the intersection of David and Mountain, which had to be dug up for the installation, will be repaved. So the concrete for the new roads in the former CN property development will be installed before the end of the month. And here we have a picture of the curbs in that area that have already been put in place. Goes around this way. That's a huge new section of housing. The 200 block of Davidson Street, which shows this picture right here, will be reopened to vehicles by the end of November. That's the street that the Royal Bank is on. Next, we have an article by Kira Patterson entitled COVID-19 Outbreak at Alonza School. Last week, Alonza School went from Code 11 to Code Orange on the Manitoba Schools Pandemic Response System. The school has had 12 confirmed COVID-19 cases as of October 12th, which has resulted in an outbreak being declared. According to Turtle River School Division, or TRSD, the Superintendent Bev Sismesko, the grade 3 class has moved to remote learning for a period of 2 weeks. That is supportive of our students and families, as many have been deemed possible close contacts and need to isolate anyways. She noted that the TRSD had unofficially moved Alonza School to Code Orange 2 weeks prior to the province's official change after they had seen their first couple of cases. Aside from the grade 3 class, the rest of the school is still in person. Public Health and Manitoba Education have helped contact trace and do not believe it is school spread, and that is why the school is open. This is also why it was only the grade 3 classroom and not even the entire cohort that was shifted to remote learning. The spread was low as everyone stayed home and tested when they were symptomatic, allowing for the system to reduce the transmissions, as Mesko said. The shift from yellow to orange has not caused a lot of changes within the school. TRSD schools have been following many of the orange protocols even while in school in code yellow from the start of the year. The main changes that have recently been added to Alonza Community School include mask wearing during physical activity, reducing any cross-cohort contamination from occurring, shifting all staff and students to medical masks before reusable fabric masks were permitted. We have separated cohort recess zones further apart to reduce possible transmission outside, and we paused the transportation of our divisional sports and shops programs at this time. Sismesko gave credit to the school community for the fact that transmission has been so limited within the school. She said it is thanks to all of the hard work of the school staff members, students, and parents that we have had a small spread of COVID-19 in our schools. Neepawa UCT offers support to Country Meadows. And here we have a picture. Recently, the Neepawa UCT number 924 members, Anne and Leonard Pritchard, pictured here, presented Marcia Ford of the activities department at Country Meadows with a check for use of their programs. Anne and Leonard are dedicated volunteers at Country Meadows. Neepawa UCT also has 3 members who are residents. And here we have a couple of pictures of the Margaret Lawrence home. Here and here. Work began on the roof of the Margaret Lawrence home on Tuesday, October 5th. DT Roofing Limited of Brandon was hired to install the new shingles on the building. Pictured is the progress made by Thursday, October 7th. In the photo above, the improvement from the old shingles, shown here over the veranda, to the new ones, shown here, can be seen. The old cedar shakes were getting quite worn, and there have been some leaks in the house, which is why the committee has spent months fundraising and applying for grants to replace the roofing. This is the sports section next. Here we have a picture of the Neepawa Titans captain Austin Klein looking to advance the puck as Oil Capital's forward Brandon Humanuk follows closely behind. Humanuk registered a pair of points on October 8th, helping lead Verdun to a 5-2 victory. Klein, meanwhile, was forced to leave Friday night's game early due to an injury, which I heard was fairly serious. So the article is by Owen Devereaux. It was a rough weekend for the Neepawa Titans as the club recently dropped a pair of games to Verdun Oil Capitals. The Titans ended up falling by identical 5-2 scores on Friday, October 8th and Saturday, October 9th. In the first period during Friday night's showdown at the Yellowhead Centre, the contest was much like the previous weekend. 2 clubs extremely closely matched in talent and intensity, going blow for blow. Mitch Thiessen and Rylan Goodnison scored for Neepawa over the course of those opening 20 minutes, giving the Titans a 2-1 lead. Oil Caps forward Brandon Humanik scored the lone opening period goal for Verdun. In the second period, the figurative wheels fell off the bus for Neepawa as the Oil Caps simply took over control of the game. Verdun scored 3 times, including a pair from Braden Fisher, scoring assisted by Humanuk. Parker Johnson tallied the other, giving Verdun a 3-goal lead going into the third. The turning point seemed to hinge upon Titans captain Austin Klein leaving the game in the second with a wrist injury. From a timing standpoint, that appeared to be the exact moment the momentum shifted and Verdun took over. For the third period, the Oil Caps did not let up and continued to press the action hard, with forward Parker Johnson scoring to make the final score a 5-2 decision for Verdun. The next night was more of the same at Tundra Oil and Gas Place, with another 5-2 decision for the Capitals. Will Hyatt and Mitch Thiessen scored for Neepawa on the night. After playing 4 consecutive games against Verdun, the Titans close out those series of games with 3 of a possible 8 points. Next up for Neepawa will be the Swan Valley Stampeders, who are 3-5-0 with 6 points. Those 2 teams will face off at the Yellowhead Centre on Sunday, October 17th with the 6:30 p.m. That's 6:30, not 7:30. NACI Tigers football team defeat Verdun by Owen Devereaux. The Neepawa Area Collegiate Institute Tigers are off to an impressive start in the Rural Manitoba Football League. A 4-passing touchdown performance from Tigers quarterback Ward Brister helped lead the Tigers to a 46-20 win over the Verdun Golden Bears on Friday, October 8th. Brister was an extremely impressive 12 for 15 through the air and also added a pair of rushing touchdowns off of 5 carries for 28 yards. As for Brister's favorite receiving target, that would be Tarek Lapointe, who accumulated 7 catches for 214 yards. He caught all 4 of NACI's touchdowns, with one being for an amazing 101 yards. Another notable individual effort came from NACI Coulter Burney, who turned out to be the team's Iron Man of the game. On offense, he contributed as a running back, rushing for 59 yards on 11 carries and picking up a touchdown. Burney also played defense, adding 3 tackles and a sack to his overall stat line. With this win, the NACI Tigers have improved their regular season record to 2-1-0, good enough for second place in the RMFL's Prairie Land Division. The next game for NACI will be its biggest challenge of the year, as they will take on the Southwest Sabres. That game was played shortly after the banner and press publication deadline, so the details will appear in next week's edition of the paper on October 22nd. And here we have some news, Tiger news from NACI. NACI compete at Zone 7 cross-country championships, and there's pictures here of some of the people involved. NACI played host to the Zone 7 cross-country championships on Wednesday, October the 6th at the Langford Trail. Some of the notable local results include, from left to right, varsity girls 4K race. Shelby Glushka, first place. Junior varsity boys, Sammy Oyoboto, first place. Junior varsity girls, 3K, McKenna Sumner, second place. Allison Beaumont, third place. Ella Cashel, fourth place. And Lena Stadnick, seventh place. Congratulations to all the competitors at the event. Next, we have an article from NACI by Kenji Sarmiento entitled "Classes Reflect on What's Important to Them." Mrs. Chandler's grade 10 English Language Arts class completed a survey on Thursday, September the 9th, to find out what they value. The first question was, why is family more important than friendship? To begin with, there are numerous advantages to having family as opposed to friends. According to Mrs. Chandler's young ELA students, 76.2% of students voted family as extremely important, while only 30.2% of students voted friendship as extremely important. Some say family provides them with mental and emotional strength when they need it, and will always be by their side in good times and bad. I believe that family is more important than friendship because not everyone you consider a friend will remain in your life, but family has a stronger connection, says Eliza, a student of Mrs. Chandler. On the other hand, some students argue that they choose their friends and they can be just as important, and other teenagers claim that their friends are like family to them. They look out for one another and are constantly in each other's presence. Friendship is more essential to some teenagers, which is acceptable as long as you trust them and they trust you, stated Louise, another student of Mrs. Chandler's. The next question that was asked is, why is education important to young teens? Teenagers learn vital life skills from peers and professionals during high school. School days are jam-packed with entertaining and educational activities that prepare teenagers for the workforce. There are many reasons why high school education is vital, but the most significant reason is that it allows students to pursue long-term goals and feel proud of their achievements. According to the survey, 90.7% of students in Mrs. Chandler's class consider education to be both important and extremely important. It is the way to have a happy life, said Paulo, a student at NACI. Many students believe that young people who have received a solid education basis will be the best prepared to learn advanced skills needed to make good money. Young adults who are committed to obtaining a great education will have the greatest profit opportunities open to them. They will have a better quality of life and be less likely to be unemployed. Riley, another of her students, noted, "Education is vital because having a good education implies having a good job. Overall, the majority of people believe that education is essential." And the last question they put forward is, why isn't popularity valued by young people? Some people want to be a part of a group and not feel excluded, while others believe that being popular is the only way to truly make friends or be a part of a group. According to the survey, 97.7% of teens consider it unimportant or somewhat significant. Young people don't value popularity since you can't actually gain anything, said Eliza. The students who responded to the survey believe that it is more important to be respected than it is to be well liked. Students in this class do not worry about attempting to be someone else, but rather wants to be a better version of themselves. Louise stated, "Just because you're popular doesn't mean you'll be respected by others. In the end, overall being popular is not that important. Popularity is more of a social thing." Overall, the survey helps students think about and express what matters most in their lives. Now, we have an article here by John Mabayad that attends NACI. On Thursday, September 9th at NACI, students in Mrs. Chandler's ELA class completed a survey to find out what they value in life. Sometimes value can be a little annoying. Sometimes family can be a little annoying, but most times they are the best people. According to grade 10 students, 19% of them believe that family is very important, while an additional 78% of them think that family is extremely important. They understand that family cares about them and that they are people they can trust. They will always support them in what they do and will always be there for them. According to Jason, a student at NACI, family is important because a lot of people don't feel like they have enough friends. So family is a big deal when it comes to needing someone to talk to or to help you with something. And also there is a lot of trust between family members. Sean, another student at NACI, said, "Young people wouldn't be where they are right now if it wasn't for their family." Media and technology is used every day in our lives. It benefits us people a lot. 64% of the students who took the survey think that media and technology is less important, and the other 36% think otherwise. The students know that we don't need media and technology to live. We have friends and family that can entertain us and spend time with us. This result also has come to a surprise because we use media and technology every day, and the students could also be underestimating their answers. Sean, a student who took the survey, said, "Technology is less important because people are too afraid to admit that they are on their phones all the time." Jason added, "It is less important because really in the end it has no significance when you have family and friends in real life." Popularity can be really good or bad for young people, therefore giving it mixed opinions. As per the grade 10 students, 54% of them believe that popularity is less important, while the other 46% think popularity only somewhat important. The students understand that friends and family are more important than popularity. They also know that popularity won't get you far in life. Popularity can have its benefits, but it can also be a liability. Carter, a student at NACI, says people don't need a massive amount of friends to be happy. They need 2 or 3 to be happy. Jason, another student at NACI, said it is not valued because if people have some close friends, they feel that's all that's important because they only care about what their friends think. Sean said popularity at school won't get you a job or money. All it gives you is recognition, which is nothing really important. Overall, the survey allowed students to think about their opinion on some very important topics in life. And an editor's note, articles were printed with permission. Appeared originally in the NACI newsletter, September 2021. Now, for Gladwin Scott's Here and There article from the Carberry North Cypress Langford page. 18 teams comprise the Westman High School Hockey League, with the GCB Wildcats starting in the season with a huge road trip during the final weekend in October. The Wildcats open Friday, October 28th in Roblin, play Saturday in Swan River, and stop in Dauphin Sunday afternoon. It was decided to forego tournaments this season with more league games, so teams will play 17 league matches. Other league members include Birtle, Russell, McCreary, Sandy Bay, Neepawa, Minnedosa, Verdon, Hamiota Rivers, Crocus Plains, Vincent Massey, Boissevain, Souris, Killarney, Wawanesa, and Reston, Elkhorn, Melita, Pearson. The Wildcats include Glenborough, Carberry, and Balder, who have operated together for many years. Home games for the Wildcats include November the 12th, 20th, 21st, 24th, November 5th, and 19th. All games start at 7:30 p.m. unless otherwise stated. The Carberry Minor Hockey Association executive includes Jay Fryer, President, Barry Johnson, Vice President, Kara Burney, Treasurer, Corey Ham, Referee-in-Chief, Jamie Smart, Equipment Manager, Scott Baker, Registrar, and Kim Fields, Development Coordinator. Teams in the 7 and under, 9 and under, 11 under, 13 and under, 15 and under with Shiloh will operate this season. Practices opened October 13th. The Carberry Collegiate Cougars junior varsity boys volleyball team hosted a successful tournament October the 2nd. McGregor Mustangs defeated the Cougars in the finals 2-1. The hosts beat Glenborough Panthers in the semifinals 2-0. The roster includes Samuel Brower, Nathan Dick, Peter Hillman, Dylan Hood, Megan Little, Jackson Mueller, Dady Pierce, Jackson Ramsey, Aiden Renwick, and Nate Robson. Blaine Hall is the coach and was the tournament convener. Fans who were masked and double vaccinated were in attendance. With the 2022 Beijing Olympics slated for February, the Canadian Olympic Curling Trials are being held November 20th to the 26th in Saskatoon. Carberry's Derek Semmelgalski is second for Mike McEwen's rink, of third Reed Carruthers and lead Colin Hodson. They are scheduled to open against Matt Dunstone November the 20th at 7 p.m. Other rinks include Jacobs, Epping, Cooey, Gushu, Botcher, and some wild card entries yet to be determined. Some of the women's rinks include Manitoba's Jennifer Jones, Tracy Fleury, and Carrie Einerson, plus other entries, Holman, Schedeger, Rock, Walker, and Wildcard. Some of the Manitoba rinks will be in Carberry for the Scotties Tournament of Hearts, December 15th to the 19th. Planning for the Manitoba Scotties 2022 in Carberry is well underway. Event passes are available for $200 at www.curl-carberry.square.site, S-I-T-E. Day and evening passes will be available closer to the event. So far, 4 teams have secured entry into the 12-team event. Tracy Fleury, Darcy Robertson, Mackenzie Zacharias, and Christy Watling. Entertainment has also been lined up for the Patch. Friday night will see the band Nothing But Trouble take the stage, and Saturday night will feature Hicktown. The committee is looking forward to seeing everyone at the Carberry Rec Centre December 15th to the 19th. Get your passes early. Please note everyone must be fully vaccinated to enter the facility. Owner of Carberry Signs has changed hands. New owners are Shauna and Cal Fadak, and Michael Fadak and Sheely Smith, while former owners were Betty Burma and Terry Wright. The Manitoba Maulers, which included Carberry's Kelly Murray, are provincial 55-plus slow-pitch champions again. They won 4 games August the 25th and 26th at John Blueberg Softball Complex in Winnipeg to repeat. However, Kelly is currently on the injured list from harvesting, as he was recently rear-ended at the Carberry Railway crossing on Highway number 5. This week's community profile is about a young lady named Lauren Vandewasten by Gladwin Scott. Lauren Vandewasten, age 17, is a Carberry Collegiate grade 12 student who plans to graduate with distinction. She is the team captain and left side hitter for the Cougars varsity girls volleyball team. Lauren has also played 4 years of club volleyball with the Brandon University Cats. She also plays badminton and golf. Her favorite food is hot wings, and her favorite color is blue. Lori Ann and Chris are her parents, and they are both nurses at the Brandon General Hospital. Her future plans include studying psychology at a university outside of Manitoba. Someone who has had a profound influence on her development is her mother, Lori Ann. Now we have an article entitled Hometown Boys. 4 childhood friends return to Neepawa on annual golf tour by Rick Sparling. I often think back to growing up in Neepawa and thinking about how much leisure time we had to develop strong friendships, and thought I would share some thoughts about being born in 1945 and growing up in the 50s and 60s and still maintaining the bonds we formed to this day. We all played games together in one sport or another, whether it was hockey, baseball, soccer, snooker, and more, and in our retirement years have opted out for golf. This friendship started off in 1951 when 3 of us started grade 1 together. Well, we might not have been in the same class at that time, because there were about 60 or 70 of us all that age. Nevertheless, we all got to know each other from attending West Park School, which is now Hazel M. Callington School. That was Cam Smith, Barry Davidson, and myself, Rick Sparling. In 1952, Ron Clevin came to Neepawa from Hudson, Ontario, and joined us at West Park School for grade 2. The 4 of us, all born in 1945, chummed around until school days were over, as we all began work and went our separate ways, got married, and had children, and we might have seen each other the odd time at various get-togethers or weddings or reunions, etc. In 2003, we were all living in Winnipeg and got together for what we named the Northern Tour. We would play at least 10 games each summer at different golf courses around Manitoba, with our 2 favorite courses being Neepawa and Shiloh, so we might play those 2 twice. I'm the coordinator, and as such I do the bookings. Ron Clevin is the commissioner and is responsible for keeping the rules and stats. Barry Davidson is the numbers man and kept the handicap system in line, and Cam Smith said his IQ was too high to be involved on the executive committee. When we played Neepawa, it always included a trip out to the cemetery and a town tour up and down each street, naming who lived where when we were growing up. The year would start out with a banquet, and we might pick a different restaurant, but our goal was to find a round table so everyone could participate in the conversations. The wives would join us, and there would be Barry's wife, Joni, Cam's wife, Kathy, Ron's wife, Ruth, and my wife, Barb. Stats were kept for each game and recorded, so a champion could be declared. It was 1 point for a par, 2 points for a birdie, half a point for a bogey, and minus point for an other. Other could be a double bogey and beyond. There would be a closing banquet after our 10 games were done, and the champion would receive a trophy at that banquet. The golf continues, and next year will be the 19th season for the Northern Tour. Another good friend who lives in BC comes out to Winnipeg once a year, and we'd include him in a round of golf as a fivesome. That was Ed Fearns, who was also born in 1945. We also met up with another old schoolmate, Ray Crabb, and his younger brother, Darwin, for a coffee chat about once a month. I'm not certain about how many other kids who grew up together stayed this close, but it was a bond we formed back 70 years ago in Neepawa, and it continues to be a fun time when we were able to meet up and rehash those old stories about our early years in Neepawa. Friends for 70 years, imagine that. That's quite a feat. As it began, it shall end, as we have all purchased real estate in Riverside community. And here we have a picture of them, pictured from left. So this is Ron Clevin, Rick Sparling, Barry Davidson, and Sparling noted that Cam Smith, even after 7 years, does not want to be photographed with these guys. So you can see his shadow here. He can be seen taking the picture. Here we have a huge picture of people that supported the Walk With Us campaign. Neepawa recently showed its support for the Walk With Us campaign for the Manitoba Down Syndrome Society. Over 70 people participated in the local event held at the Langford Walking Trails on Sunday, September 26th. In total, $3,650 was raised from the day. The Manitoba Down Syndrome Society is a non-profit organization which provides support, information, and opportunities for those with Down syndrome. Down syndrome is a genetic condition caused by an extra chromosome. It occurs in 1 in 700 to 900 live births of children. Now we'll just go back. Now we'll read Rita Friesen's article named Homebodies. This one is Walking and Wondering. This morning my morning walk was a solitary one. My little dog has become a little bit arthritic. We can go for walks. We do on occasion need a bit of meds to recover. My heart called for a long walk, so the decision to leave Miss Daisy at home was a good call. Before any distance was covered, I paused to chat with neighbors. It is 5 years now that I have lived in town, so am on light visiting terms with several folks in the area. There was mention of no dogs, and I explained my reasoning. Spoke of life and living, a little laughter, and I got serious with my excursion. It was my kind of temperature, cool enough to need long sleeves, but not a jacket. The sky was the wonderful fall blue, enhanced by the golden foliage. I was alone for the circuit of the bike park, a rarity. It felt strange to pick my pace and not gear it to a companion. There were stretches on the path where I slowed to feel fall, to be fall, to allow the sorrow and joy intermingle. Coming up the road, I chose to follow the trail east of the cemetery. With canine companions, this section calls for increased speed. Believe it or not, we break into a jog around the curves and up the inclines. May I mention, well out of sight of any witnesses. This day I slowed my steps, felt the crunch of the crisp oak leaves, wondered anew of the majesty of old trees and the careless stretch of the prairie maple trees. Thankful for the picnic table in the clearing, I attempted to sit. Sitting was not in me. The path continued to beckon. Down into the valley, beside the moving water, is always a tranquil spot. This day I wasn't watching that the dog didn't eat droppings, wasn't watching for anyone but me. So again I lingered, feeling the cool of the moisture-laden air in the lowland. Noting that the creature paths crossing my trail, being, breathing, listening. My need on the 70-plus stair step coming out of the valley is usually dictated by companion as well. I don't want to be dragging her nor being dragged by her, so I allow Miss Daisy to set the pace. Would it be easier, I wondered, to lead with the left foot for 10 steps and then lead with the right for 10 and keep switching? Would this technique allow me to traverse the flight without the afterburn? This time it did. It will be something I will try again, concentrating on the counting to 10 and switching. I was caught by surprise by the approach of another pedestrian. They were masked and I was not, and we simply passed. On the home stretch I met another neighbor. Again we stopped to chat, spoke of my dogs and my dog, got caught up with life and living, had a chuckle, and went out our separate ways. Such are the simple pleasures that fill my days. They are gifts beyond measure, freedom of movement, and points of connection. Now, I will read right in the center by Ken Waddell, entitled Learning from Past Mistakes. I think I'll take a drink. In John 8, verses 31 to 33 in the New International Version, it is written, "To the Jews who had believed him, Jesus said, 'If you hold to my teaching, you are really my disciples. Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free.'" Those last few words have been repeated throughout history by preachers and politicians on thousands of occasions. I trust that most of the preachers believed their words, but I question if the politicians held as tightly to their meaning. If politicians, and we might include kings, emperors, and generals, actually believed what they were saying, we would be a lot better off. If the truth had been known and followed, we would not have had 2 world wars in the 1900s. It's doubtful we would have ever had wars if these words had been truly followed. Most wars begin with a lie, a pretense of offense, an old grudge rekindled. That was certainly the case in 1914 with World War I and II. Once the offenses were rekindled, nothing could stop the committing of new offenses. An all-out war broke out. The truth that Jesus was speaking was stated to correct a major misunderstanding of his purpose and an even larger misunderstanding of biblical history. God gave us the 10 Commandments, which people quickly edited and expanded to over 500 rules for life and living. History shows that mankind is rarely satisfied with simple, straightforward rules. The slipping away from the 10 Commandments into several books of Old Testament laws is a prime example of that. Unfortunately, today's bureaucratic and, dare I say, politically correct world does the same. The more rules you make, the more rules you have to make. The Bible is divided into the Old Testament and the New Testament, or the Old Covenant and the New. The Old Testament is mostly history, a great place to learn from and visit, but a very poor place to live. The New Testament is where God wants us to live. In Matthew 22, it states, hearing that Jesus had silenced the Sadducees, the Pharisees got together. One of them, an expert in the law, tested him with the question, "Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law?" Jesus replied, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is, like it, love your neighbor as yourself. All the laws and prophets hang on these two commandments. If all people at all times through history had followed, love your neighbor as yourself, there would be no wars, no conflict between individual people or nations." In recent months, Canada has been grappling with truth and reconciliation. That is a good thing. We need truth and we need reconciliation and lots more of it. I have made a habit of reading a history book or two every month. History books can reveal a lot of truth, but only if they are accurate. I am midway through a book called Halifax, Warden of the North. It traces the history of what is now the city of Halifax back hundreds of years, when it was just a bay where large ships could find shelter. The reason Halifax is where it is today is because of that bay, a deep seaport. But it's not the city that caught my attention, but rather the violence and outright stupidity. The book was written in 1956 and tells of intrigue, violence, battles, adultery, and just plain evil. There are stories of jealousy, lust, power, greed. The author refers to the indigenous people of the area as Indians and savages, which is ironic given that the book does not gloss over the inhumane actions of the French and English of the time. In times of war, both sides of a conflict take action that can be considered savage. One governor built his house so he could overlook the city square where public hangings took place. It brought a certain pleasure to him to see a few people hung if they didn't follow his rules. Instead, if people had followed love your neighbor as yourself, there would not be hangings, wars, hatred, jealousy, murders, adults, and all the other things that tear us apart. Love your neighbor as yourself is the truth that will set you free. If it was applied to every facet of life as individuals, people, groups, and countries, we could live in peace. Is it too much to ask to review history, be it your own or our world history, and ask how much better off we would have been if these teachings were followed? Then look forward to today, tomorrow, and the future beyond, and ask how much better off we will be if we adopted them fully as nations. If we do that, we will have learned from our history and be able to write new and better chapters in the future. And a disclaimer at the bottom: the views expressed in this column are the writer's personal views and are not to be taken as being the view of the Neepawa Banner and staff. And the last article I'll read today is by Neil Stroshine, Something to Think About. My feelings about any issue don't often become conflicted, but when I see the different reactions to public health orders regarding COVID-19, they definitely are. On the one hand, I am very grateful for the rights and freedoms I enjoy as a Canadian citizen. I appreciate the cultural, linguistic, and religious diversity we have in this country and highly value the lessons I have learned from people whose family backgrounds and life stories are very different from my own. Of all the provisions in the Charter, the one I treasure most is the freedom to worship in the God of my understanding in the faith tradition to which I choose to adhere. Those are views I share with many others. So when I see the leaders of some religious organizations resisting government efforts to help control the spread of COVID-19, and in some cases openly violating public health orders in the name of religious freedom, I am very troubled. Two questions dominate my thinking. First, what do those who resist the orders really fear? That question is easy to answer. Look at any social media site and you will see posts advancing conspiracy theories of all sorts. Others see these measures as one more government intrusion into people's private lives, while a third group sees these orders as an organized attempt by government to restrict our religious freedoms. Are any of these fears justified? Those who advance them feel that they are and any contrary arguments I could present here aren't likely to change their minds. The second question is, what do those who resist these orders really want? That question is also easy to answer. They want the freedom to make choices regarding their personal health, and they want that freedom to be respected by government and employers and the general public. Again, let me state clearly that I have no problem with those who hold this view. I may at some point in my life have to make a similar decision regarding medical treatment, and I would hope that doctors, family, and government would accept and respect my decision. But, and this is a big but, once a choice regarding personal health has been made, and that includes whether or not people will be vaccinated for COVID-19, the rights of those who make that choice come to an end. We have the right to choose, but we must live with the consequences of our choices, whatever they might be. Canadian law gives governments the right to restrict our freedoms in the interests of public safety. And as Romans 13, verse 1 clearly states, we, especially people of faith, are to submit to government and abide by the laws that they pass to protect us and our fellow citizens. This raises the most important question I can ask. Is there a way we can accept limits on our freedom without the bitter and angry feelings that so often accompany that acceptance? I believe there is, and this is the approach that I have adopted. My guidance comes from Galatians 5, verses 13 to 14. Do not use your freedom as an opportunity for self-indulgence, but through love, which slaves to one another. For the whole law is summed up in a single commandment. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. My choice throughout this pandemic has been to willingly give up some of my rights to help protect my neighbors, work colleagues, and church family. You may not agree. That is your right. I offer these words as something to think about. I hope you will accept them as such and reflect on them. So that does it for this week in the Neepawa Banner and Press. I hope to see you next week. Goodbye for now.